we met at the 2023 North Texas RPG Con, which is now a staple of mine. I'm going to go every year. I already bought my tickets and airfare,
Right
hotel.
there. Yep. Got
Gonna
my
be
hotel
there.
reserved. Yep, I'm ready. I mean, I live here, but it doesn't matter. I'm staying at the hotel.
Yeah, well, it's just more convenient.
Yep.
You could save some money, but there is value in being right there.
Yeah, it's only money.
So how long have you been going to North Texas?
So that was my first year.
Really? That was it?
Yes. And I only learned about it because I went to LongCon last year. So
Okay.
LongCon represented the first con I have ever attended in my life. I will be 52 this year. And believe me, it's something I should have done 30 years ago, but life has strange ways of taking you out of things you planned on. So I was able to do LongCon last year for the first time, had an absolute blast. Loved all those guys. Matt and Eddie, just I was so welcome, and it was such a small con. That's kind of why I was like, well, let me get my feet wet and see if this is even something I'm going to be into, because I can be one of those introverted extroverts. So yes, I'm very personable and outgoing, but then there's plenty of times I'm like, get the hell away from me. I don't want to deal with people. So I wanted to kind of start off easy, and now I'm totally hooked. And North Texas, about twice as big, still not huge, but I can't wait. It's gonna be a thing I'm doing every year. I didn't even know it was in my backyard until LongCon. I'm like, what? This is how many years? I've lived in the DFW area now for about 23 years or so. I don't do math well, so moved here in '90s. English major.
Especially when it involves counting your age, huh?
Correct. Yes, that I'm well aware of.
You look great. Don't worry about
it. As long as I look pretty, I really don't care.
You do.
Thank you. I lived here since '97. I have no idea that this was a thing. I mean, it doesn't actually surprise me as big of an area as this is, but it just never occurred to me because I never really saw any nothing about it. But I guess I was in the wrong places to see it. And I wish I had been going for such a long time, but whatever. I'm here now, and it's going to be an every year thing, and I cannot wait. So
yeah, I mean, I'm fairly recent to the con game as well, because like when I was a teenager, I got my RPGA magazine in the mail. So technically I knew about all the conventions going on, but I didn't have a car. I was broke. I didn't know how it worked. It was something new. So I just never got around to it. But in 2019, I had been on the Facebook group for GaryCon, and Ernie Gygax told me just directly, hey, you should come. And I was like, okay, I should come. And then I convinced a few folks from my New Hampshire gaming group where I was living at the time to go. So the three of us went, and it was our first gaming con, all three of us. And it just opened our eyes to what we've been missing out on. So I feel the exact same sense of awe that you articulated, but it was fantastic. Had a fantastic time. And then I started looking around for other cons to go to. Well, I've heard about North Texas for years. I should give it a try. Went last year for the first time, and I saw a bunch of the same luminaries as at GaryCon, but here, and they were way easier to get in touch with. They're way more approachable, so many fewer people. And like I did the math of the ratio of regular con attendee to RPG game designer and industry luminary, and at North Texas, that is a very rich proportion. So if you want to meet one of your favorite designers, chances are North Texas would be the place to go.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, good. Glad to hear that you're going to be going to it again. So LongCon and North Texas. Any other cons on your horizon?
Well, let's see. So I'm also a big avid board game player. I have my board game closet, which Home Depot was kind enough to redo for me here just about a month ago. So I now have shelves floor to ceiling that are, I can't wait. I get to fill them up.
Yeah.
So I can't wait. I have more space to fill up, but I will be going to Board Game Geek Con in November. So my November is planned. Every single weekend is planned. It's going to be LongCon, Board Game Geek Con, Thanksgiving with my family, followed by PAX Unplugged. It will be my first time to do something that huge, but a very good friend of mine, he's the PAX Discord admin. Their unofficial Discord. He goes to all the PAXs every year, and he does panels and does all kinds of stuff. So he's going to be working a lot of it, but he was like, do you want to come? And I'm like, yeah. I've never
Yeah.
been to Philadelphia. I've never been to a con that's going to have like over 100,000 people at it. And fuck yes, I want to go. So again, hotel's already made, flights already booked. I'm ready.
Now that you've got this
So
addiction, just feed it.
I know, right? Like I needed anything else. Not only do I collect all these books, but now I have to go to these conventions. And listening to some of the people at North Texas, especially those who come from out of state, mention, Gary Con, Gamehole Con. I'm very interested to try to get to Gamehole maybe next year if I can. It does seem like one that I would really enjoy just based on the people that I met at North Texas and their good words put in about it. One of the guys, he's from Wisconsin and he goes to only 3 cons a year, one of which is North Texas. I'm like, well, that says a lot right there. If you only do 3 out of the entire country.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll take your opinion into higher regard. And you said Gamehole, and I'm like, okay, I'll have to check that one out.
I want to work that into my schedule at some point because every year I'm going to do North Texas and then I'm trying a different one out. So the next year I'm going to Total Con just outside of Boston in Marlborough, Mass, because one of my friends from New Hampshire that I gamed with, he goes to Total Con every year. Alan Hammock, Ghost Tower of Inverness and Boot Hill fame. He lives like an hour from me. We were on the same flights to North Texas. He also goes to Total Con, and he was a darling guy. Hopefully I'll interview him sometime. And he spoke very well of Total Con, said they do a great job. So maybe Boston could be in your future too.
Yeah. I have friends in Boston I would like to be able to go see. So there we go. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. Now, we met at a con game, the Blade Runner, the new Blade Runner system that came out. And I believe it was our new friend, Paul Smith, was running it. None of us knew each other when we sat down at the table, and we did. And that is one of the best games I have ever played in.
Agreed.
I mean, if you've never been to a con, if nothing else, this should be the reason you do go to a con, because at each con I've gone to, there's been at least one game that stood out as everybody was operating on all cylinders. Everything was full steam ahead. Everybody was in character. The story was flowing. Action was flowing. Everything was perfect. It was like a movie you were making with everybody else. And it was amazing. And none of y'all wanted to finish. When it does end, maybe you play past time just to get more of it. But when it does end, you're high-fiving and y'all have this glow when you see each other. That's what I got out of this. And that's what a con can give you.
Yeah.
So
100%. It was so amazing. I backed the Kickstarter for Blade Runner and gotten the game in just before the con. So I was really happy to get it. And I'm like, cool. Again, another one on my list to try to run. Yeah. Okay. Sure. Someday. But getting to sign up for it, I was like, oh, cool. I'm like, at least I know that this system a tiny bit. I got to peruse the books a little bit. So I was like, sure, why not? Let's sit down and play. Meeting Sergio, who Sergio lives here, and I've invited him to game days. He hadn't been able to make it just yet, but I try to do board games once a month. So he will get over here at some point. And I'm so bad with names, I don't remember the fourth guy. Glenn. Yes. Yeah. There we go. So yes, sitting down, and I was phenomenal how we all just clicked, got into that character and took it. And I love the looks Paul was giving us about like, forget this, the story y'all are doing is so much better than what's even written in here.
Exactly. And that ties back to what we were talking about. For those who haven't played it, he was just running us through the introductory module for the game that comes with the book or the box set. Is it a box set?
Yeah, it's a box set. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. He was just running us through that. Each of us got so into character. And actually, I have my character sheet right here because I wanted to keep it. I have my hard-bitten, jaded Willem Novak police detective. Got his character sheet right here so I can look over and just pet it.
Yeah.
I totally got into the character from the few cues that the character sheet gave me to play with. You were playing a replicant.
She was on the police force. I mean, she was very idealistic and all in. And
that's right.
Even though we're running around looking to potentially get rid of her models. Right. She's all like, well, all of the day's work.
Yeah. And you did a great job at that. And there were times of appropriate inter-party conflict between us because like you wanted to go talk to the human supremacist and me being a jaded human, I was like, listen, you're gonna screw everything up if you go. Well, why is that? Let me lay it on you. And so even though there was a tension between like you wanting to go do this thing and me trying to get it directed a certain way, The interaction was fantastic. So we played with the conflict, and
Right.
it was
Yeah,
so delicious.
it was so amazing. Yeah,
And
it
so
was
what
sad when
the
it ended.
yeah, so the module's written to go a certain way, and it sounds like it's fairly like ham-fisted on a few things. These will happen, but
Yeah.
what we were doing at that table as players, Paul looked at what we were doing, how amazing it was, and looked at what the module said was going to happen. He said, "Screw this, we're doing something different now." You
Yep.
know, and that's a credit to him. His command of the material was strong enough to where he felt comfortable doing that.
Right.
And his own storytelling ability was, Paul,
Yeah.
good man.
Yeah.
We created something that was greater than the raw material we were handed. That's the kind of memories you can get from a con. Do you have another experience like that? Like, say, for Long Con?
Oh, from Long Con, I had never played in a Call of Cthulhu game. And
Ever?
so, no, I had not. And
Oh,
so
wow.
I got into David Quick's Scalpel game.
That
And
sounds ominous.
well, to start, my character was a 70-year-old ex-assassin grandma. I'm down. I'm totally down. And she's a badass. And the best part was everybody else at the table, when I'm ready to, I'm like, hey, give me that weapon. What? What? Give me the weapon. Give me the knife. They're like, are you okay, Grandma? I'm like, look, Grandma's going to cut a bitch if you don't give her the knife. And then flip it around. I'm good. I got it. But we spent the first hour. So he went to each person, and it's sort of like the prequel setup, how we all kind of come together. It took a good 15 minutes per person. We had to describe how our characters get out of a bathtub full of ice after having had a kidney removed. I have never spent a game doing that. I was the only character who did not injure themselves more, because I'm literally processing, okay, old lady, she lives a very modest lifestyle, old house built in the 50s, tiny bathroom. I'm like, okay, cool. The counter's not far. I'm like, I just need to roll over the edge of the bathtub to get onto the floor, crawl, grab all this stuff. And he's like, all right. He's like, that's cool. You do it. So one of the other characters, he decided he had a lot of money. He had a bathroom the size of a, which at the end he was like, in hindsight, that was a poor choice. I should have had a small bathroom.
Humility.
He nearly died getting out of the right. He nearly died
at the beginning of the adventure.
Yes, at the beginning of the adventure, he would slip on the marble and fall, and because he wanted marble floors and everything. I'm like, that's what you get.
Do you know if that was a published module or one that the storyteller had put out?
It is
a
published one. He has run it so much, he ran it from memory. He didn't actually have the module there, but yeah, it is a published module apparently, because when we brought that up at North Texas to some other people, they're like, oh, you played through Scalpel. I'm like, oh, okay, so you know what this is. It was so much fun. And basically getting out of kind of like a hospital-esque thing. So that happens, and then at some point we all end up in this hospital room together, and we have hospital gowns, none of our regular equipment or anything. We have to figure out how to get out of this building before it blows up, because they decide they don't want any loose ends. And we could have faced off against a nasty supernatural doctor that would have gone very poorly. But as the grandmotherly figure that I am, I was like, no. Come on, kids. Let's all just get out. We need to stay alive and get out. I don't know if it was someone picked a lock or somebody had enough lockpick skill and they used a credit card to get the door open and get us out. And once we get out of the building, we're running for it down the street of a city in our hospital gowns.
Missing a kidney.
Right. Then the building blows up in the background. And basically, it's a Delta Green scenario. So we get recruited into Delta Green after all that has happened to us. So I was actually playing Rosie at another game at North Texas. It's like, cool, I want to play Rosie again. And, let's go. So
that's awesome.
It was great. It was so much fun and just insane. I've never had to describe how to get out of a bathtub full of ice.
And I think at North Texas, you were running at the other table in the room, Mountains of Bright Crimson, while I was in a Call of Cthulhu game based on Jersey Shore.
Yes.
And Tom Knaus, he ran it. It was hysterical. It was fun. I hope we didn't interrupt you too much because of all that. Yes, Queen.
No, because I played that the night before and it was so freaking hilarious. I loved it.
Yes. And I asked him if he was going to publish that, and he said no. It's like, you're leaving money on the table.
I know. Well, again, I think it's the whole Jersey Shore part. Like, you need to adjust it a little bit more to
There's
avoid
ways to wordsmith
right there
around.
is. And it was so much fun.
Oh my God.
So crazy. I loved his use of props and especially the song lyrics and things.
That was messed up. That was so messed up. The karaoke section. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, he was so good.
That's not the right words. What is going on?
Good.
Great.
So
great.
If you haven't been to a con, go to a con. And if you haven't been to North Texas Con, I'm not getting sponsored by them, but come on down.
Right. But come on down because it's Texas and we're very friendly and it's a great con. Yeah.
And if you're watching this video, you're already a cool person. So come be cool with us.
Right. Come be cool. Yeah.